Hi, good evening, everybody. Sorry, the third attempt to start this workshop this evening for you. And the workshop I'm going to do is just a short walkthrough on editing in Lightroom for mono images. But before we go to that, let's have a check out on the Flickr website and check on the images which have been uploaded. I'm doing this for the first time from my laptop because this is where I'm doing a lot of my editing now. With Lightroom on my laptop, and all my images, as you know, are saved to an external hard drive. So that's where they're saved. It gives me plenty of speed with the laptop running. So that just gives you a basic background as regards to how I use my laptop. So let's go to screen share and check out the Flickr site. And as you can see, the first image, you've probably seen this already, me discussing it, but I'll go through it again. John Ilka is obviously involved in a group where it's Happy Bench Monday. They have to take photographs of benches or chairs or whatever. And he's taken a photograph here of a leather seat, a leather bench, with this stuffed pig behind, which, as I've mentioned before, is in perfect sharpness. Beautiful clarity there. Lovely shadow here created on the seat with the highlight off the leather seat, and obviously concentration on the pig. Probably just a little crop down the left hand side I've just noticed to get rid of what appears to be some leaves, but other than that, it's a fun shot, and I don't expect you to be presenting this in any kind of exhibition or competition, but that said and done, it made me laugh, and you've got some good responses from people that are involved in this group. Take me the XE2 35mm lens. It did make me laugh, John, when I saw it. Thanks for posting it. Stephen posted this image where he's demonstrating the use of path blur in Photoshop, something which I've never used before, and it's interesting how he's got the blur of the sky here. And when we see another image later on by another member of the workshop, you'll see there's no highlight here down the side of this building, which is very important when it comes to the final editing process, because when you come to print, this will print as we see it. There's no ugly highlight around the edge of this building. So that's interesting how the program or the plugin does that on the workshop. But I like the way you've got the new and the old, and this is how the building arcs. As someone mentioned to me in one of my postings, was that the fisheye lens that did it? No, we know that this building curves and arcs like that, and as we know, it has burnt a few of car sunroofs in the past. I think they've rectified it now, but anyway, fantastic restaurant at the top of this building, by the way, folks. If you're out that way in London, go to the Walkie Talkie building on Fenchurch Street. Thanks for posting it, Stephen. And I love this one. I'm pretty certain this is a shopping arcade to a description close to St Paul's Cathedral, but I love the fact that we don't know what starts and what ends. It's a great abstract. It's all reflection of windows, and we've got a great sky reflected up here as well. So it's a lovely abstract image that you've created there, and you've got some good comments here made by some of your fellows, friends in Flickr. But also John's made a comment as well on the shot, and I like to see that. It's good that we make comments on people's work rather than just liking it. It means a lot when people take the time to make a comment. I've got nothing to say against the image, maybe just I love my vignette, so a vignette down this side would have added a little bit of concentration to the center, but otherwise, yeah, it's a good, lovely abstract shot. Thanks for that, Stephen. John's posted this one. We don't know whether they're stuffed or whether they're real, do we, John? I'm going to leave that to you to hold on to that for your information. And you've used PaintShop Pro for contrast and the Nik plugin to add a vignette. Interesting that you didn't use the whole of the Nik software to do it, but there we go. That's another thing probably you can think about. I don't think for 1 minute this image is going to be used in a competition, but if it were, I'd look to crop the left-hand side and bring the vignette round, concentrating on these two chicks here. But it's a neat shot. It's in beautiful sharpness. The camera obviously struggling to concentrate the focus either on the straw or the chick, but is close enough to actual fact get them fairly sharp, and a little bit of They're obviously moving here, the chicks, but yeah, that's acceptable focusing on there. But again, this I believe would be just for a bit of fun. And thanks for demonstrating that, Nick. Plugin XE2 35mm 1.4 again. Great camera, isn't it? This one, thanks for posting this campaign. I really like this image, but my question, my thought would be this lady is too far close to the left-hand side of the framework. I'd like to see her on that third line down where I'm showing the cursor now, to allow her room to walk into the space of the image. I like the vignettes. I know it's an almost what I would term as a grab shot, because you've taken it with your Sony mobile camera, the 4.6mm lens f2. It is very sharp, actually. That's one comment was made. It is very sharp for a mobile phone. It is lovely. I do like the image. I do like the image. It's just that I think she's a little bit too close to the left-hand side. That would be my only critique of it. Thanks for posting it, Scampagni. This one I like. I like the detail in the center of the image here, but I would like to see a little bit more light around the edge of the person here to show a true silhouette. It's dark, it's sinister. You've called it less. I like the title, and there's a lot of people here that are making comments on it. You've got 33 favorites. Excellent use of light. John made another comment, light leads the view into the image. It is exactly right, John, it does, but I'd like to see a little bit more light around the silhouette here. It blends a little bit too much into what appears to be the deep shadow of the corridor. Or have you overdone the vignette? Maybe you could look into adjusting that. But thanks for posting, Scampagni. This one I was talking about with reference to the walkie-talkie building, and we're with Stephen's shot, and this is where we've got the highlight on this building, which when I first thought of it, I thought maybe you had selected either the building or you'd selected the sky to basically get this movement in the sky. But then when I checked down on the words here, there was a comment which made me think that maybe you had, in actual fact, had tried something different. What I would suggest here, if you have tried to do something with the sky, select the sky and add 1 pixel to the actual area, which would have taken it into the structure. Then you wouldn't get this highlight. This highlight won't show in an image on the screen like this, but it will show in a print. If it's being judged, it will be marked down. Now you make your choice. You either select the building and reduce the pixel count by 1/2 or 1, or you select the sky and increase by 1/2 or 1 so that you go into the structure, and then make your adjustment for the image. I thought there was some more information here, but there doesn't appear to be. Oh, that's right. It was taken with the EOS 700D at 30 seconds at ISO 100. So in actual fact, you have got the blur in the image. So my question is, why did you have to select it if that's what you've done? Or have you over sharpened the image and then effectively taken the grain out, the noise, by putting too much luminance in Lightroom? Have a look at that. If you are using Photoshop, I would suggest you do what I've suggested. Increase this area and this area by 0.5 or 1 pixel. That will take the area into the structure, and you won't get that awkward highlight there, because this structure is dark enough to absorb what you're doing with the sky. It may be something which we can look at in a future workshop. Thanks for posting this one, Thorpe. Again, I love this. I love the balance of this shot. I love the colors. I love the shadow. And as we know, Thorpe takes photographs with he's a film photographer, Nikon F3 HP, Kodak Vision 3 250D. Very nice image, nicely balanced. Yeah, you've put a little of an analog look to it. I love it. I really do like it. There is a vignette there. I can see you've created a vignette on this darker blue area of the sky and down in the corners here. So yes, I love it. I like the balance and I like the colours. Thanks for posting that. And you deserve more favourites than that. And so thanks again, Thorpe. Next one, yes, again, Thorpe, great idea. Focusing on a particular part of the person sitting there with the bill or the ticket in their hand. You've called it Flower Man. Flowers are hiding his face, but beautiful detail here in the image. And I like the way that you've thought what I would feel outside the box. You don't have to show the face. You're showing the blue jacket and the hands and the ticket. New Zealand, beautiful landscape, sorry. And taken with the Fuji X-T1, great camera, 16mm lens 1.4. You've got all the details there, and I cannot fault that at all, apart from to say I'd like to see a vignette. I really would like to see a vignette on this, just very slightly, just to draw me in to that image a little bit better than this one. It's a great image, 42 favourites, got 11 comments, 279 views, and that's well deserved. Or the image, the comments all go on here, exactly right, and it's well deserved. One minor critique, I would say, enhance the vignette a little bit more. So we finally got through Flickr, third attempt, and I'm still live, which is great to see. So thanks for sticking with me. If you did by chance see the other two attempts, which I will delete, don't worry. So the next thing we want to move on to is the mono editing in Lightroom. And this comes basically on the back of a comment made by a friend of mine, Peter Beckett, is a member of the group as well, who saw a couple of images which I had created on a recent walkabout with him, and he was asking how I in actual fact did one of the edits with a mono effect. Just realised that looking at the original image, it had to be a mono image itself. This is not one. I in actual fact was just going to go through very quickly the images which I took on this walkabout. When I'm doing street photography, I'm looking for either some kind of activity, action, expression, thought. If I'm taking a photograph of someone in a candid situation like this gentleman reading his phone, his mobiles, text messages, obviously just finished his cup of tea there. And so it was just really a sort of a spotting of the gentleman there reading his phone, which is quite a popular thing to do these days. And I would agree, maybe starting to get a little bit on the boring side of street photography. These two kids were having a bit of a laugh and a joke and a serious conversation, as it turned out in the end. And they were just sitting in the park bench there. But again, I'm looking for an expression here. And obviously this young lad is querying what the young lady is talking to him about. Decided that this, because there were so many different confusing colours, would be better in mono. This gentleman, cabbie, driving through London, was caught in a traffic jam, and I just stopped to have a chat with him about how business was, and he works 8 till 8 every day. So hats off to him. And I just asked him, would you mind if I took my photograph? And he said, not at all. And there we have it, a straight street portrait of a stranger. And what a nice man he was. Lady walking through the arches at Covent Garden, confused by a message on her phone. And I just love the way that she was looking at her phone. She had her earphones in, she's looking at it. And the person behind, in actual fact, is smiling, although I've deliberately taken him down a tad. I've just taken the highlight down from him, so the concentration is on the lady with the red dress, and looking at her mobile phone, and then enhanced the shadows by dropping the shadows, not opening them up. These two were taking photographs of themselves in front of the telephone boxes and were discussing. And again, I'm looking for an expression, an action. What are they doing? They're discussing something. And as it turns out, there was an eyelash which had curled into this girl's eye, and she was helping her remove it. This is the one which we're going to talk about where I made it into a mono. So I'll skip on from that. But these two, again, were posing in front of the telephones boxes, the old telephone boxes of London, which are rarely used these days. I just love the way that she's posing with her body, but it's a selfie and they're only going to get their heads in the shot. But we'll go on and we'll come back to, there's the mono shot, which we'll talk about later and how I created it. This gentleman here was checking his notes of some work he'd just done, again in Covent Garden. I walked past, turned around quickly, took the shot. I'm looking for his study of his notes here, and I'm really pleased with the sharpness of my X Pro 1 with the 1855 lens. This one was a study of basically dropping the EV counter on your camera down to -2 or -3, working with aperture priority. We'd set our cameras to f5.6. The shutter speed was set automatically, obviously, on the back of that, and the we just took photographs using -2 or -3 EV. This is an air conditioning unit outside a building, which I used as a natural backdrop, and I just waited for individuals to walk through. And it just so happened that this young lady walked through with some lovely coloured blue glasses, which gives it a little bit of a centre of attention. And notice here, I've given plenty of space for her to appear to be walking in to the image. This one has proved quite popular on my 500px. I've done quite a lot of work on this one in actual fact, because I've really enhanced the shadows and enhanced the highlights, and I've selected around her to bring her out of what was a fairly dark archway. As I say, it's proved quite popular on 500px. I'm really pleased with it because, again, I've selected the highlighted areas and enhance those highlights, and then at the same time enhance the shadow. I haven't increased the shadow by allowing us to see into the shadow. I've darkened the shadow down. And this was a young lady who allowed me to take a photograph. I just wanted to show the reflection of her glasses, and you can see me standing there taking the photograph of her. And it's when you take photographs like this, you've only got to ask. And don't be worried if someone says, no, thank you, I don't want my photograph taken. Accept the no and walk on. The no will help you because there is a yes around the corner. On this one, these two were having such a laugh. And again, I've enhanced the highlight on the girl's face and dropped the shadow, everything around her, basically to bring the attention to the fact that he's just cracked a joke and she's finding it quite funny to listen to. And finally, just a lady again walking in front of one of these air conditioning units of buildings, and I've just emphasized her skin tones as she walked by as I was taking the shot. So that's basically is the images which I took on this street shot. They're basically my best, 6, 12, best, well, it's 13 there, but one is a copy of the other, so the best 12. So we'll go back to the image which I was asked to mention, and let me just go back. So here we have these two which were in front of the telephone kiosks. And one thing you can do with Lightroom, in actual fact, you can go through the history of the image, which was set up for you. So here is the color version. And as you can see, I've got people either side, which are just coming into the frame. So the first thing I decided to do was to get a crop which was ideal for the image which I wanted, to center to concentrate the image on the two in front of the telephone box. So I've removed the two on the outside, and I've made sure that I've got her feet in the image. Just a little bit more just here, just making sure I've got the crop factor correct. Then I've gone into the contrast just to richen the colors up a little bit. The highlights I've taken down just a tad, not a lot. Then I've added some clarity. Again, I'm not going over the top on the clarity. And then I've moved into sharpening, which will show down here. And as you can see, I very rarely go over to 50 on the sharpening with a Fuji file. And then luminance smoothing, which is at 27. And then the other one which I do, which is edge masking. Now, edge masking is an interesting one because it, in actual fact, gives the image a bit of punch, because what it does, it masks out the area which you don't want to be sharpened or smoothed out. So you get a little bit of a punch into the image, and it just brings the main subject matter out. Now then I started to look at options with regards to what I could do with the image. Now, yeah, we got the red letterbox and we've got the individuals there, but there's a yellow sign behind, there's a red shirt there, there's a green shirt, and there's brown trousers, and we're starting to get a bit confused with the subject matter. And remember, I'm working at 5.6, and I don't want to. I've got too much of a depth of field. So really, I've got to start working out and thinking what I can do to change this image around. And then eventually I hit upon the black and white option in Lightroom. And the way I've done that is it effectively selected black and white on the tab button here at the top. There are two options to use black and white: the tab at the top next to color, or the tab at the bottom where you can actually can control all the different colors which are in the image. I decided to go with the top one. Then I've gone down to the lens profile of the camera. Lens profile, Fujifilm, distortion scale, not a great deal. I didn't need to do that, so I cancelled that out. Then I did the vignette, which again just concentrates them in. You see how it changes immediately. You have very bright pathways. Bring in your vignette. It closes the image down on your concentrated point in the middle. Just added a little bit of width on that by using the vignette midpoint. That's down the bottom here again. I'll show you. I'm hoping you're not seeing the whole of the screen, unfortunately. Let me just stop the screen share and go back to the desktop, see if that brings it up in full for you. So you should now see the menu on the right hand side. Yes, you do. So yeah, you can see here with the midpoint, which in actual fact is in the crop vignetting area. If I go to the vignette, I've added quite a bit of vignette to it, -33. I don't normally go that far, but I really wanted to concentrate on the young girls. And then there's the one underneath the midpoint where I've just increased it a little bit just to spread out that midpoint of brightness, and the added a bit more punch to the image. I then decided, I thought, I'm going to print this. I'd like it to look a little bit sort of film-like. So I've added some grain. And this is a wonderful tool in Lightroom. Let me just go to 3.1 and you'll see just a little bit of grain on their faces there, which just adds a little bit of je ne sais quoi to the image. And that, I think, is the advantage of Fujifilm cameras and their files. You get that option of creating a film-like quality to your images. So I'm just going to run that through quickly now, where we started off. So really, my main move was to get the right crop for the image, then added the contrast, then the highlights. I reduced the highlights, I added some clarity, added some sharpness, added a little bit of smoothing. And remember, I'd like to keep those fairly low. I don't go over the top on them. Edge masking, that's the masking, as I told you, to give it a bit more punch. I checked out a little filter which didn't too much. We just sort of basically, if anything, saturated the colors, and that didn't work. The black and white worked for me, and then I went on to improve the image using the distortions and the vignettes and the grain. Using Lightroom. Remember, there are two tabs there which you can select from Mono. There's the top one. There's a top one which you can go to straight away, which does immediate change, and you just work on your tone mapping within that. Or basically, you go to the lower tab for black and white, and you can actual fact adjust the colors accordingly in that range, from red through to magenta as regards to the spectrum. Maybe we'll touch on that another time when we do another workshop on this. I hope the broadcast has gone out okay for you all to watch. I'm going to check it now later on. If there has been a problem, then I'm going to have to go back and think of another way to do it. But if it does work well this way, I'll probably do this again using the laptop and my Lightroom. Thanks for watching, and all the best to you, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.